Hi, my name is Sam, and this month for our TinkerCAD Challenge, we're making bubble wands. So I have two as an example. As you saw, I was using them, and they're working out great. I love my solutions that great though.
I'm teaming up with Miss Liz this month for her Math Science Lab project in April where she's going to show you how to make bubble solution and go with your bubble wands.
For this month of March, we're going to actually hit the ground running and create our own bubble wands in preparation for experiment to make bubble wand solution. In this tutorial, you're going to see a few ways of how I made bubble wands. There's no right or wrong way, and there's a couple different methods in which you can learn how to make bubble wands. You can use just making a hole into a 3D object method like I have here, or you can use the method of how to make, if you can see it that well, how to make your bubble wands with the little ridges like you would normally see bubble wands. Both of them are really great. They both work just fine, but it's entirely up to you which method you want to use. And also, if you want to get even more creative with it, because I will show you how I got a little bit extra creative when it came to making my bubble wands. And as a bonus experiment, you are welcome to have two printouts of your bubble wands, meaning that you can make two different wands, like one of these and one of these, and you can get them for the month of March. So if that's the case, I hope you already have registered and joined up for TinkerCAD.com. You just have to use your email and create a username, as well as log into the class code. So I have the class code right here at the bottom of the screen. All you got to do is click to join the class, and then you would see my name pop up and know that you're in the classroom. Now necessarily you don't have to necessarily join the class, but it's just easier for me to what your file is and how I could print it out. And then once you're done creating your bubble wands, send me an email and I will print out your bubble wands for you, and you can choose which color you want. Now, if you want to actually watch them in the works, please let me know that please indicate that in your email, and then we can set a time where you can watch them print. Now, these might take about half an hour to an hour. Both of these wands, for the sizes that they are, these I believe this took an hour for both. So keep that in mind. If you want to watch your bubble wands print, it might take a little longer. You might need some time, but you're welcome to watch them in the works. It's actually a really neat process, and you can slowly see your wands building from a design into an actual piece of material. So it's really neat to watch. Sunday, March 12th, as an extra bit of help, I decided to make that a walk-in bubble wand creation day, and I will show you how to if you haven't set up a TinkerCAD account, you're welcome to do so that day. And B, we'll just make the bow wands. Just plan on having at least an hour to work through it. And if you happen to be done with your bubble wand that day, we could possibly get it started printed, or we can even set up a time where you can come by and watch it. If you need some extra help, do contact me at my email down here. We can set up a one-on-one time slot where we can walk you through the process of making your bubble wand, getting you started with TinkerCAD. As I've said some in the past, if you do not wish to work on a bubble one this month, you're welcome to look at previous months of different TinkerCAD challenges I have up. I have over a year's worth of tutorials, and every month I do plan on making a new virtual TinkerCAD challenge. So keep a lookout for any older ones you want to try out, or maybe you just want to see what other ones you have in the future. Just keep an eye out for those. Other than that, I hope you have fun. Email me with questions and enjoy making your bubble ones through TinkerCAD.
TinkerCAD page open, you can see all the projects I've done in the past. Now, in where you would be creating new in a 3D design, this is how you would start. I'm going to actually open up my bubble wands that I have made as a experiment to see if they work well with the particular soap and water I had going on here. So I'm going to open these up and I'm going to explain a little things of how I create them and also how you could create the same shapes, or you are welcome to make something completely different. So these two, as you can see, differences are one has the ridges that you would usually see on a bubble wand. The other one does not. So I was curious when I made this which one would work better, if they both would work the same. I will show you both ways of how to make these bubble wands, and you are welcome to try out your own experiments to see which one you will like. Also, I will, because it is an experiment, and this would be a fun way to um, kind of test to see which ones work better, you are welcome to print out two wands for this experiment. So I will give you the choice, the option, if you want to print out two separate wand designs, you're welcome to do so. We'll leave it at that. If you don't, if you just want to make one wand, that's fine. If you want to make two wands of the same one, that would be fine too. I have this group right now, so I'm going to ungroup it. But before I do that, I want you to also change your file name, and all you have to do is click up on that name, and I'm going to type my initials and bubble wand be grouped at the moment, or what I did is I clicked on group, and you can see it turned two different colors. That's what it means to ungroup, is that when you have all your shapes together, you group them, and that makes it one shape. Because I already have the shapes done, I'm working backwards so I can show you the different shapes I have with this particular bubble wand. So you can see that it is made up of one, two, three, four different shapes. And I actually started out with the box shape, so I'm going to bring out this box and show you. And I found out while I made these, I should probably make the sticks a little longer. So instead of 72.5, what I want you to make them as, I'm going to say 100. So let's just make it the length of 100. Okay, so you see it's a lot longer than that one, so that's good. I found out as I'm dunking them into my wands into cups, it's really hard to see if it's hard for me to hold it and do that because the wand just kind of slips on my finger. So I want to make sure that you have enough room to dunk your wands into your solution. So as long as you go 100, between 100 to 200, that will be fine. So that is the way to go about it. In terms of how tall it is, we're going to make it a 4. So that's 4 millimeters tall. That should give you a thick enough piece that you can hold it pretty well, and then it won't be super bendy when you use it, so therefore it would last a little longer. So in terms of the width here, this is an 8, so I'm going to do the same over here. I'm just going to, so right now it's 4, so I clicked on the white square at the corner, that gives me the length and width, and I'm going to click on it and change it to an 8. I think that's fine. You won't make it too thick, as long as you're able to hold it well. So just like this one, I'm going to pull out a different shape. I'm going to pull out the hexagon, or this is the polygon shape. It looks like a hexagon right now, but you can always change the sides. So with 6 sides, that means it's a hexagon. I'm going to make it an octagon, give it 8 sides, and then I'm going to rotate it. And I'm going to show you the specific thing here. So when it comes to this, I'm going to rotate it just enough that this side is firmly attached to the wand portion. Now, there's a reason, and I've explained this before in other TinkerCAD building designs. You always want to have, you always want to make sure that your pieces overlap, because when they print, and if they're not overlapping like this, then you get two separate pieces. So anytime you're printing something and it needs to be attached, make sure you do attach the pieces together. If you have if it's doing something like this, that means your snap grid is set to a certain setting. Usually I would change the snap grid so it's not so sensitive. So now it's at 0.25. So I think I'm able to line them up pretty well. So I'm going to make this, right now it's 18 by 18. I'm going to do something interesting with this. I'm going to actually play around with this design and kind of make it like a honeycomb wand. And if you want to do the same, you're welcome to. And okay, so I got 20 by 20 now. I'm going to change it 25 by 25. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this shape a hole. Like it's going to have a hole in the middle. And that's what the same thing the star had over here. So I'm going to duplicate this. So up here, if you have it selected, it should be blue or outlined in blue. Hit the duplicate. And right now the duplicate one is actually in the middle. So with the duplicate one, you want to change it to a hole. So I'm going to click up here, and that's going to change the sides. And I'm going to change this to 22 by 22. And now I'm going to match up to make sure that the hole is as centered as possible to the solid one. And you can see how this middle portion is gray. That means that this is the hole. This is the solid out here. So now I'm going to group these two. And there you go. So you see it creates a hole inside of this wand. So it's exactly, I have exactly how I wanted to. Now I want to see if I can make like 4 and make them a ring around. But honestly, you can make as many as you can fit on the stick. If you make too many, it might be a little too big, because remember, you also want to make sure you can print this and put it in a solution. So I'm going to copy this and paste it. Oh, that's neat. I didn't even consider this. I actually might want to keep it this way. So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to do the same thing, copy and paste or duplicate, and then remove the duplicate one. I think this is going to be pretty neat. I'm going to keep it like this. I'm also going to change the sides. Okay, I'm going to add one more. So this is an interesting shape, but I think it looks pretty cool. All right, we'll do one more. And I'm also intersecting in the middle, so I don't have like everything completely overhanging. I do want to have at least a nice middle portion where it is connected enough. They're not going to be perfectly connected, but...
Okay, so I showed you how to make this one. Now we're going to move into the components of this. So there is the tool that I was showing you called the tube joint, and the tube joint is a unique tool where it's just a circle with a bunch of dashes. So you see, you can ultimately really play around with how this particular show you how this is, and this is what I ultimately use for my design. So I'm gonna show you this one. I would like you to follow along and make it the same, or at least say close enough that. Okay, so the inner radius, this is entirely up to however big you want these to be. So I wouldn't make them so small that they're going to come out like this, because the objective between these pieces is that they're going to hold some of the bubble solution instead of it dripping. So I think this is why we should make it, at least in here I have at least a size 18, but this is going to ultimately change depending on how thick your circles are. I'm sorry, our raise is 12. And so this means that between these two, the subtraction portion of those two is equivalent to how long these actually are. So keep that in mind when you're making yours. How long do you actually want them to be? Now the tog angle, so this is where you want to make sure it's at 0, because this is where you get that shift or spiral looking going on here. We don't want that, so you want to keep that as 0. And then the thickness, I have it set to 40, and that worked for mine. So I would say anything around 40 should be fine. If you have it too thick, it's just going to turn into a regular circle. If you have it too thin, it just won't print right. So you want to make sure you have it in nice medium size, anywhere around 40, 50. So the height is 30. I don't think there was any specific reason for that. I just wanted to make it a little bit taller than what I have here with the circles. Yes, I kept these circles about the same height as a stick, so that's why the height over here is 30. So that's going to work out for this, and you're welcome to do the same for that. Okay, so you're done making your tube joint circle. Now what do? I'm going to check to see what the size is for this and equal it out. So I'm going to make it both 30 by 30 to ensure that these are the same. And I'm going to grab a tube, place it here. Obviously that tube's not going to fit, but what I'm looking for the ability that this tube is going to fit inside, like in between each one of these pieces. So because I know that I just changed it to 30, I'm going to change it to 25 by 25 and see where that goes. Okay, still a little too small. I'm going to try 28 by 28. Okay, getting somewhere. I have my snap grid on, turn that down. And I want to make sure the sides are perfectly rounded, so I up the sides. And it looks like, weirdly enough, I don't know if the shape is perfectly round because it's looked a little different. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bump up the radius. So bumping up the radius actually now places the tube kind of surrounding the outside of this piece. I'm going to shorten it. I'm going to make it a 4 just like I did over here to see how this looks. So in reality, you could keep it like this. I believe that's pretty much similar as how a bubble one would look. You could also bring it down to match this a little bit. And this is actually what I have with my other one. So I'm really eyeballing it here. So if you're kind of confused how I got to this point, I'm really just pulling out each of the ends, see where they take. So now that I have these two as where I want them to be, I know there's some spots where it's a little bit narrow, but I think this will be just perfectly fine. I'm going to group them. So group is up here, waiting for them to turn solid. Once I know that their group is when they're going to turn completely one color. Now here's where you could be as creative as you want. So I'm going to move this stick away. Actually, I'll just delete it. I'll copy off the other one. Move this one out of the way. Delete this too. So now I have these three rings. And I've seen some bubble wand ideas where they took a specific shape and they just connected them. And you could do that with this. So I'm gonna look at shape generators. Shape generators has the cooler stuff. And I see this piece, I see this piece. I'm gonna pull out this piece. So this is the SVG revolver. I used it in a couple of my other examples. But what I really like about this is you could really create this piece to be as versatile as you want it to be, because you can change and rotate out the pieces of it. But it does just go into a circle, like ultimately that's its final form. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it to my advantage and attach, I'm going to attach all of these circles. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this side. And ultimately I'm going to try to make it like a wand within a wand. You kind of see what I'm trying here. I can really actually make this a elephant. Kind of looks like an elephant to me, so I'm going to play around with the design aspect a little bit. And this is ultimately something you could do with yours. Make it as creative as you want. Actually, I think I just leave it like this. But you see how cool, like how fun and how creative you can get making bubble wands? Like, I think this is really neat. I was not even trying to make this, but I think just based on the fact of how it was going to turn out, I decided to be a little extra creative. So this is my elephant bubble wand. And I also have, so I have three circles and I created a bubble wand out of it. Now I'm grabbing this stick and putting it over here. Once again, trying to find the most solid shape I can so that this way, when it prints out, it'd be pretty, well put together. Kind of wondering if I should do something right here too. So I don't know if it looks like an elephant if I do it like this, but I think it would give at least more stability in the middle. So I'm just going to leave that attached. And if it doesn't look like an elephant, it doesn't look like an elephant. But at least I'll have it kind of better put together. I'm worried about this being too loose. So I'm going to group that. Might take a minute. Okay, and there we go. So this is another example of how you can use the circle. I use the tube shape and also use the, what's this called? The tube joint. So this is how I created this. So once again, you could do it multiple different ways. There's no wrong way to make a bubble wand. And as you can see, it might come out with a lot of neat surprises. You might have some bubble ones you never thought you could create. So I think if you give it a shot and experiment with which way you want to go, you can create really awesome designs with your wands, and you can make some really neat bubble shapes out of it. And like I said, you're welcome to make two just as experimentation. And I encourage you to try out to see which solutions will work best for your type of wand, because maybe not all types of wands are equal. This is how you make a bubble wand. I hope you have fun. Let me know when you're done creating your designs, and you can pick out a color of your choice. And if you want to watch them print, they will probably be about 30 minutes to an hour, and you can always schedule that time with me to see them, how they print out in the printer, in the 3D printer. So let me know. Have fun tinkering. Bye.
And call it a bubble wand. You can even scribble on something. So if you want to do it the scribble method, let's say I'm just making a goofy cloud shape. that could be it. So that is my scribble bubble wand. And all you have to do is attach it like this. So this is like the simplest way to go about making the bubble wand. And then when you do this, consider a few things you need to do. Your shape has to be connected to the post here. So I'm dragging it over. I'm going to make sure that the whole thing is connected. So I'm going to put this off to the side, and then we're going to explore some more shapes. So say you wanted to do a heart bubble wand. Right now the shape is 26 by 28. So let's do 50 by 50. So I'm going to make sure I make this about half the size of what the wand is. I'm just applying it right here. So what we want to do is we want to make another shape to go over this. So you can do this a couple different ways. You could hit duplicate and repeat right here, and then we could adjust the sizing. So let's adjust this to 60 by 60. And you see this shifted a little over, so we want to make sure that this heart is almost centered to what the other heart is. So the other heart in the middle, we want to make this a hole so we can cut this out of the bigger heart shape. When I clicked on it, I clicked on this gray stripe, and that means to change it to a hole. I'm going to zoom in so you can see a little closer. I'm going to click on the outside of this heart. I'm going to make it slightly smaller. I'm going to match the shape of the one, so I'm going to make this a 5. Okay, and now I'm going to group all 3 pieces, and what this is end up going to do is this hole of the heart will be able to cut out a hole of the stick as well as a hole of the other shape. That is another way to make a bubble wand. So everything is connected. You have your stick, you have your heart, and you have the hole in the center to blow the bubbles out of. And you can design this and add anything else you want to the stick. If you want to add your name on it, you can. I would turn it this way though to match along the stick. And I'm going to put my name as Sam. Let's see how this is going to look. It's always hard to see now, so I'm going to change the lettering so you can see. So isn't that neat? It gives, it's like you have your own personalized bubble wand that you can bring to parties or any gatherings that you go to, and say if you want to show